5 months after the United States went to war to stop Iran from advancing its nuclear program, the U.S. is reportedly inking a deal to allow Saudi Arabia to create a nuclear program.
The agreement between the two nations supports the creation of a civilian nuclear power program in Saudi Arabia. Relations between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia have been strained because of the war with Iran, and there are questions about whether international inspectors would have full access to nuclear sites inside Saudi Arabia, and if all of this could lead to the Middle Eastern nation diverting fuel to create a weapons program. NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba joins us now. Monica, what more can you tell us about what this deal entails and how it was reached?
Well, this is an interesting one, Kate and Christine, because, of course, it has really important implications, but we don't have the full picture yet of what this entails from the U.S. side of things. We know, according to a senior administration official, that the Trump administration is expected to announce that it has reached this deal with Saudi Arabia at some point later today. But there are a lot of pressing questions about exactly how it would work, and it appears that American companies would be responsible for building up this new nuclear infrastructure within Saudi Arabia, but this would also have to go to Congress for approval, guys. But what's important about that is that it would be pretty difficult for lawmakers to block it. It would have to meet a pretty high veto-proof threshold in order to do that. But I think there will likely be questions, since this has been something where the leadership of Saudi Arabia has said that they would not seek to try to build a nuclear weapon necessarily with this kind of program. But they have also said that if Iran tries to, that they reserve the right to potentially do that. So all of that will need to be addressed, guys.
And Monica, this is all happening at a time when Iran's nuclear program is at the heart of the current war. So why does the administration believe it's acceptable for Saudi Arabia to develop a nuclear program?
Yeah, and that is the critical question here. And according to Saudi Arabia, again, they want to do this for economic purposes, for energy cost purposes, and to really approach it from that perspective. But Secretary of State Marco Rubio was asked exactly that, and he said that the U.S. would never support anything that would amount to proliferation of a potential nuclear weapon, that is the aim and the goal with respect to Iran, and would also apply to Saudi Arabia in that hypothetical sense. Christine and Kate.
All right. Monica Alba, thank you so much for that.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.